All the goodies. All right, my dudes, we're back.
What's up, man?
Steve's here. Today, we're at Night Motorsport in the engine room, and we're going to be assembling the motor for the rally car. Couple of things real quick, just to run you guys through on kind of what we're doing. Steve, if you want to tell us a little bit about what we got going on here. Is this the original block that came out of the car? What are the new parts?
So it is an original block that came out of the car. What you end up doing, we end up line boring the mains for you. Just make sure it's all nice and straight, clean it up, get it ready for putting the parts together. The mains came out really good, still straight, so that wasn't an issue. Only thing is, as you saw, that you had some piston issues along with a little bit of rod knock, but don't worry about that.
Yeah. That doesn't exist in this one.
All the Subaru flavor.
I'm glad that you're willing to admit it. It's just a part of the game when it comes to a Subaru.
When it comes to Subaru, they have the positiveness and they have the negative.
It looks like we got some goodies here. So the original case halves are here. If you guys don't know, this is not a traditional LS where it's a block. A traditional LS where the block is one piece rather. The block on a Subaru is two halves and they bolt together, holding the crank in the center and then having your pistons go down through them. Hence a boxer engine instead of a V8 or an inline engine. Case halves are back. Looks like we have some Manly H-Tough series rods. What were you saying this was?
Factory nitrated crank.
Factory nitrated crank. So what is it? Why is it special? Why?
Well, it's already went through some heat treating already from the factory. I mean, it does really better than the older models.
Yeah.
So your 06 has a different setup, but this one's actually just a one step above.
So she's a little stronger.
It's a little bit stronger.
Harder
but also
surfaces.
It's a little bit more well balanced.
Oh, I see. Got some fresh bearings, it looks like.
So yeah, we're using King bearings. We're using a new coated one. Been working out really good so far. We haven't had any issues yet.
Yeah.
Tolerance is right on the money, so we're getting a real nice tight tolerances. Everything is about 1.5 to 2 thousandths tolerances. We already did the pre-measure on it, so everything is set up real nice. So we can just go ahead and install it together.
I've watched a couple of videos online on people building them. Obviously everybody has their own ways of doing things. There's many different ways of accomplishing the same task, but today we'll learn essentially how you do it, and I'll be more so this being a tutorial video, more I'll be learning about the motor setup, and we'll just be documenting it for you guys and show you how it goes.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Let's do it, boys. So step one to building a good motor, got to get some cleaning, huh?
Always just the final prep because everybody has oily fingers, stuff like that, so I want to make sure we wipe it all off.
I'm not gonna lie, I definitely touched a bunch of stuff before you came in here.
We're still gonna just wipe it down, and after that blow it out and wipe it down a little bit more. And by the time we wipe it down a third time, then we'll find ourselves and be doing something about it.
Copy that. Sounds like a time-lapse jump. One of the cool things actually that I just really remembered is on the LS, what we'll normally do is we'll throw in the crank into the block with the bearings and all that, and then we'll start inserting each rod. But on these Subaru engines, you assemble the rods and crank on the side, and then you put the two case halves around it, right?
Yes.
Again, never done one of these, but I know when we tore it apart, I was tripping because Scotty popped the piston out of the cylinders before splitting the block, and then when we split the cases, the crank and rods were all together in one piece. Rotating assembly is complete.
Yep, we are done with this guy. We'll put it back over here for now. Now let's start working on the block itself.
So, you're not ready? Why not? All right, so listen, we had a little bit of a logistics issue, not on our behalf, but we finally got the crankcase bolts. They're here. So, yes, I'm wearing different clothes. I think Steve's wearing the same exact thing he's been wearing all week.
I do take a shower.
So we got all these parts now, and it's time to get back into it, which I'm excited because I'll tell you what, USPS, you scumbags. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Again, this being 2 case halves, you got O-rings that are gonna help you seal it all up. And then on top of that, you're gonna end up using silicone around all these crankcase bolts in order to help seal the 2 halves together. Look at that. We almost have a completed setup. We got rotating assembly all in there now. So just so you know, that gun is set up to do a very low amount of torque. It's just for running bolts in and seating them. They all have to go through a torque setting. So make sure you're torquing your stuff. So that's essentially, well, no, it's not a short block just yet because we still have to install these fancy pistons. Now I have a question for you. You know, our motor failed at least, and I know that there's a lot of motors out there that fail because of ringland issues. What's the big difference between why ours failed and why like something like this wouldn't?
The biggest thing is it's cast pistons. Cast piston will have cracks in there, so here's a couple, it's pretty much a cast in it. So that could be some flaws in the piston, which one will make it find a way out, and he'd actually end up breaking it up. And at that point, that's pretty much it.
So
with the forged piston, you don't have anything. Everything is pretty much a solid material, and out of a solid material gets machined up.
Just to kind of fill you guys in with like Radical, for instance, who is a big supporter of this build. Radical Firearms, the way that they do their lower and upper receivers on their ARs is through a forged system and not a cast system. Cast, you're essentially like, how would you say cast? When you cast something, you're kind of like injection molding it type thing?
It is kind of an injection mold.
Like an aluminum injection mold type style?
Yes.
Where a forged is heated, smashed, heated, smashed, heated, and smashed so that you can take out all the air pockets inside the forging, and then you go into the machining process and you essentially pressure makes diamonds and you come up with something like this. So in the same way these pistons are built, the same way our ARs are built. So the difference is the density, right? The density and hardness of the material, and then obviously these ringlands look a little bit beefier too. We should be good. These are fancy. Now it's time to start cutting rings, sizing up all the rings. We'll get into that. Wrist pin inserted. See, that seems like a chore to me. So now the piston's in there, and again, when we tore it apart, we kind of showed you this, but when you're putting it back together, you got to take the rod, line it up with the window hole, drop the piston in, then line up the rod and the piston, and then insert the wrist pin. Didn't look like it was too difficult. It actually looks like it went together rather smooth once you line everything up. Short block assembled, so the whole rotating assembly, all 4 pistons, everything is in. The silicone is it's getting dry. So now we spin it to make sure it rotates nice and smooth. Ooh. Buttery, huh?
Nice.
Buttery? You happy with it?
Nice and tight. There's no binding. Will be a good deal.
Now that the rotating assembly is all together, it's time to move it to an engine stand so we can install the heads. So now we got some ARP studs, some multi-layer head gaskets. It's time to complete this long block. Just like when we tore the motor apart, it's going back together with some ARP boys. So we got all the head studs in. What's next?
Putting the gasket on.
Let's go, baby. Oh, look at that. Look how beautiful it looks. Talking about all the studs.
So you're supposed to put grease right here. And washer, grease washer. So what I do is I do it after. I don't do it before, so that way you don't push it down. The next time you get it between the gaskets, so creating a pocket.
So you don't get a good seal. Now that the long block is pretty much complete, it's just the final touches.
It is.
And this is a piece that you invented. The people have seen this because they've been watching the show.
Yes.
This is one of the most beautiful parts that's going to go into the car.
I hope so.
I think so. Let's open it.
Let's open it.
Yeah. There they are. Wait, here, Steve, help me. Help me, Steve.
Help me, Tom Cruise!
Rip it open for you.
Help me.
That's your Christmas.
Look at that thing. Oh. The black's actually really nice.
It is nice.
Yeah, I wanted to do some red ones, but then we kind of took a vote and black was the color. Black's the setup. So we're doing the black ones on this motor, and then later on you'll see us pair it up with the red STI manifold and all that stuff. Maybe eventually we can get a set of red ones like that motor, but for now, the black ones. So real quick before we install these, just to show you guys, the baffle system that's in here is already sealed and already Loctited with all the hardware. So the only thing you really need to do is
just install the gasket and put it on the cylinder head.
no silicone, no nothing. Just put that in there and go, huh?
That's the point. We cut the little lips away so you can actually control your own crush on it. So the biggest thing is making sure that you tie it down evenly all the way around, so that way there's no issues.
So what he's talking about, just to fill you guys in, is this is the original OEM valve cover.
That is the original OEM valve cover.
And if you see those little edges right there by the hole, there's one there, there's one there, and there, and there, and there, and there. So anyways, you can only tighten these down until this aluminum here touches against the surface of the head. Well, with the new ones, there are no edges, so you can make it essentially sit flat. But that's what you're talking about, that there's a crush to the
There's a crush to the
O-rings.
madness, so that way you can seal it 100%.
Yeah, which is dope because these do tend to leak. And then the oil consumption with this, which we'll explain in a little bit deeper. We've explained it once already, but we'll explain it again because I'm doing a unboxing video, so you can see exactly what comes in that whole thing, and we can show you how it comes apart and what the difference is between one of these and a Night Motorsport valve cover.
So every package comes with a little bit of Loctite, so that way, since it is a center cone-shaped bolts, we want to make sure they don't back out on us. So you just gotta put a little bit of dap on it, so to get the standing side.
do whatever you gotta do. Scotty's here. Hey Scotty, remember when we tore down this pig?
I do.
Looks a little bit different now, huh?
It does. It's a lot cleaner.
Wait till you see the car.
No more blow-by.
Wait till you see the car.
I'm excited, man.
After we tie it all the way down, we went back around a couple times to make sure it's all even, because they too tend to have a little bit of flexation, so make sure once it's all even, we have actual Loctite on them, so keep it in place. But we want to make sure there's a nice crush, even crush all the way around, not over crushed, so you don't want to over tear it, but you want to make sure that you have that nice crush all the way around.
Nice and sealed. It looks beautiful. One more side. There you have it, EJ25 long block build with the spicy covers. We got the oil pickup already on there, but we're gonna throw an oil pan on that. You don't really need to see all that. There's nothing special to it. It's just an OEM oil pan. Killer job, bro.
Appreciate that.
All the goodies that went into this should be tough enough to do what we want to do. Again, we're not trying to make 600 horsepower. We're just trying to go jump a WRX in the dirt. As always, boys, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Say bye, Steve.
Bye, guys.
I just want to come in here and say thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. If you like the content, leave a like. It helps us out big time with the algorithm. Also, Black Rifle has offered you guys 15% off of your first purchase, and our boys over at Radical Firearms also offered 15% off. So go ahead and use code Micah Diaz, all capital letters. Don't miss out on any of the content. Hit that subscribe button, boys. Stay safe, boys.